Well, it's time for the daily cleaning of the buns here. Tell you, if my grandma could see this living room, this formal living room, all full of bunnies, she would have a fit. Luckily, she's not around anymore. My mother wouldn't mind though. She didn't mind helping out animals. But we don't use this living room for anything, so it just kind of became a bunny room here. And it's time to clean these guys out. There's been some changes. We lost our Norm. I lost my old Norm, who lived in this pen with Zuzu. And one day I came in here and he was having trouble walking. And I got him into the vet right away that day, and his heart was failing. He was in heart failure. And he was over 10 years old. Could have been over 11 years old. So I can't say he didn't have a nice long life. The problem was he had just become friends with Winona over here, who was our scared little bunny. And she would come out in the kitchen with him, and she liked him a lot. And I kind of thought at the beginning, I don't know how long Norm will be around. And it turned out it wasn't more than about 5 months. So she's got to come out by herself now. Because she does not like Hubert, who's a real punk kid here. He's a grown bunny, but he's a punk, aren't you? He says, I'm a punk. He needs his box cleaned out. And over here we have Eddie Mars, who was a stray bunny that I caught. He was running around in a neighborhood next to a busy road in the city. And a lady contacted asking for help on one of these next door type things, and I said I'd come and try to catch him. Together we caught him before an owl got him. And since no one was missing him, I ended up with him. Right, Eddie Mars? And then over here is his friend. And this is our sweet Miss Lydia. And she's friends with Eddie Mars. It took a long time to become friends with him. But they don't like living together. He gets aggressive to her. So they live next to each other here. And they come out together in the kitchen and run. And then around on this side, now there's room in here for Aggie. And if you know about Aggie, she's had multiple medical problems her whole life. She's an older rabbit too now. She's about 8 years old, I think. And she's still doing all right, but has to live with her problem of a immune system that doesn't work. And therefore she gets lots of bacteria in her sinuses. And because of that, her sinuses inside the bone has actually put on extra growth. So she's on medications as needed and nose drops as needed. And so far, she's dealing with it. If she ever gets really bad where the medications don't help, I'm going to have to decide to put her down. But right now, she's moved in here with the other buns. And that's because Norm is not there anymore, so we shifted him around now. Hubert is in Norm's pen, and Aggie has moved to where Hubert used to be. And I need to cut down on the bunnies. I'd like to get down eventually to 3 bunnies, because the bunnies are a lot of work. Daily box cleaning, scrubbing out their boxes. They have to all take turns coming out in the kitchen and running around. But here's something I did the last time we went on a short trip. I had some old litter boxes that are falling apart. These are my old ones. But I found several new ones and picked them up for 99 cents each. It was at a thrift store, and they were very gently used. So what I've been doing, or what I did, to help out when we're on a vacation trip. This year we took a short trip to see some waterfalls. There's a video of that. It was just a 3-day trip, but usually we might go on a longer trip for maybe about 8 days. But what I'm doing for vacations is I'm pre-filling litter boxes for the bunnies. And I got about 13 extra litter boxes. Some I got from a cat rescue that closed up, and I used to volunteer there. So let me show you what I do here. So what I did for this short trip was I pre-filled and I stacked up 13 litter boxes all ready to go with newspaper at the bottom and fresh hay in it, so that my son, who was taking care of the bunnies, could just switch out the litter boxes, and then he can just take the old one and he can put it off to the side and he can put a new one in. Real easy. And then all he needed to do was make sure they were eating right and give them their food and their greens and scrub their water bowl out. But this really helped with rabbits. If you have rabbits, and maybe you just have one rabbit, because you're not crazy like me, but if you just have one rabbit, and you can find, 7 litter boxes, and you get them all ready to go. So the person who's taking care of the rabbits has a lot less work to do. Because the rabbit litter boxes do need to be changed every day. You can see what a mess they are. This is just from yesterday, and they get wet, and they get droppings, and they get, what's the matter? Aggie's slumping over there. Hello, Eddie Mars. I got some greens for you guys. But your rabbit litter box, generally, it should be cleaned out every day, and not only should you change the paper and the hay, but you also should scrub it out with vinegar. And you can use Lysol. If you put a layer of paper in there, it won't hurt the rabbit as long as you rinse it out really well. But white vinegar works really well to sanitize the box. Just wipe it down with white vinegar and rinse it out. Oh, Bunster. Want some pellets, Bun Bun? Come on. Well, everybody's going to get their greens before I change them out here. And this is a spring mix. Baby lettuces and other things. There's other things in here. There's spinach in here. I can't find a piece of spinach, wouldn't you know? But there's usually spinach in here, and then there's red cabbage in here. And radicchio. Here's a piece of spinach down here. Little tiny bunnies like Eddie Mars, and he only weighs about 4 pounds. These little guys, a lot of times they cannot stomach anything but lettuce. So I would suggest that you only give lettuce, like romaine lettuce or young lettuces, to guys like Eddie Mars. If you give him anything else, he gets an upset stomach. Now Miss Lydia's a little bigger. She's about 6 pounds, so if there's a piece of red cabbage, she can handle that. Everybody's going to get some good stuff. Look at Hubert. He's sleeping. Oh boy, she's got greens. Greens, yes. Come on, look at your water. You got your water all dirty. What are you doing, Hubert? Let's give you your greens here. Let's see. Some greens for Hubert. And then we got to change your water out. And now here's Winona. She's still a real scared rabbit. And you know what? I'll give her the greens and she won't eat them. Usually till I leave the room. Yep, she's gonna, let's see. Nope, she won't eat until I get out of here. And then here's Aggie. Let's see how she's feeling this morning, because you can tell the health of your bunny, and this is important also. Is your bunny grabbing and eating the treats you're giving them and the greens right away? A rabbit that doesn't want to eat the greens right away is not feeling good. And then you need to see to that with some meloxicam maybe. Maybe they have an upset stomach, or maybe they have something else wrong. Now this is normal for Aggie. Come on, Aggie. How do you feel this morning? Now, some mornings she'll grab at the greens and start eating them right away, and some mornings she's like this. So it's time to give her a dose of meloxicam, which is an anti-inflammatory and a painkiller, and I'll give her also some nose drops. And hopefully she'll feel better within about half an hour. But this has been her whole life like this. She's had so many problems. If you've seen the other video of all the different things I've tried with her, including shots and everything. Breathing chambers and daily shots. And nothing's worked because she has an immune system problem. I think pretty much anybody else would have put her down a long time ago. But I just can't do that. She has really good days where she's hopping around and feeling good. And then she has days like today where she's not feeling so good. It's been years of this medication. What I give her when she's not feeling good is a little meloxicam, some Serenia nose drops, and then this Yunin Bio, which is a herb. It goes in a little piece of banana, and then she eats that, and that's supposed to be an anti-inflammatory. Seems to work a little bit. She was getting it every day, but then I cut back to just giving it when she needs it, because the expense of everything is getting to be so much. She was doing okay without it, but like I say, she has good days and bad days. So let's give her some of this stuff and see if she starts feeling better. You know, I started out with just one bunny, and it was our crooked face Stevie. You ate all that already? Look at your mess. We got to clean that up. And then there were two other pink-eyed white bunnies that were at the shelter. They had been brought up from Alabama. Oh, see there now, Aggie's eating. All right, she's eating now, but she's going to get her medicines anyway. And the three pink-eyed white bunnies, I had brought one, and I couldn't keep it at our house. So my mother said, you can keep them here. That's Stevie, how I started. And then I mentioned the other two bunnies, and she said, well, why don't you just go get those two also? Because my mother was a good-hearted person, despite, you know, faults. Everybody has faults. But so I ended up with 3 bunnies, and that I had for a long time, just the 3. But then I realized how many pink-eyed whites were just sitting in the shelters and not getting adopted. So I ended up getting a couple more. I got Aggie, and I got Miss Lydia. She actually got her as a friend for this little guy who's not a pink-eyed white, but like I said, he was the stray bunny. All right, Aggie, I'm going to give you your medicine. I'll let you finish your greens, and then I'll give you your medicine, okay? You got your nose drops. She doesn't like that. It goes up into her nose and down and through her mouth, and then she's snuffing a bit about it, but it's got to be done, Aggie. You see she's feeling a little more active. Come and finish eating, and here's the banana. Want to eat the banana? Eat it up. I got to clean everybody out now. Oliver was in. He was in your cage. She says, get out of my cage. Bunster. She likes the cats, though. Sometimes they're all laying down together and sleeping next to each other. Yes, I said I wasn't going to replace any animals. And I am cutting down on the bunnies because the bunnies take up a lot of room. Actually, I have one more bunny than I could handle for a pen. And Aggie would go between the kitchen and the basement and back to the kitchen again. And then we lost Norm suddenly. Norm, my pink-eyed white, he was the last of the 3 Alabama bunnies. And they came in one day and he was having trouble walking and keeping his balance. And I took him into the vet and his heart was failing. I had to put him down. And he was at least 10 years old. He could have been as much as 11 years old. But it was very hard nonetheless. I had seen this guinea pig at our local shelter, and he's very cute. I figured he'd get adopted quickly, but he didn't get adopted. He kept sitting there and sitting there. We had went on the trip to see the waterfalls in northern Wisconsin, and then we came back. A week later, Norm's heart failed, and I hadn't looked to see if this guinea pig was still there because I figured he'd been adopted. I waited a while and then noticed he was still there. While other guinea pigs were getting adopted, coming and going, this little guy was still sitting there for some reason, and I didn't understand why. Now, he's a tiny guinea pig. The people who turned him in said that he is a 1.5 years old. I find that hard to believe that he's a 1.5 years old. Let me bring Violet over here. Now, he's a boy and she's a girl, so I can't let them run around together. But let me show you the size difference. Violet is a normal size guinea pig. If I could just set you together. Can I set you guys next to each other? Look at the size difference in these pigs. Yeah, she's a girl. No. Okay, put Violet back. She says, what's going on here? After that interruption, back to the show here, right? He says, who was that? The story with this guy is that the people bought him at a pet store and were told he was a girl. Now, if you look at his underside, you can see, obviously, he's not a girl. But they put him with their girl guinea pigs, and he impregnated the girl guinea pigs. So they brought him to the shelter. Now, they said he's a 1.5 years old, but he's so tiny. I can't believe he's a 1.5 years old. The guinea pigs can start breeding very early on. In the wild, they have to start breeding when they're just several weeks old because the mortality, of course, they get killed by lots of predators. Well, this is Oscar Stubbs. He's got a stubby little face. And as I say, he was sitting at the shelter while other guinea pigs were coming and going. And so, oh man, I tell you, after I lost Norm, I was feeling really down. He was my last Alabama bunny. And I know he lived a long time with us, but I still felt really bad. And I felt bad for Winona bunny, too, because she had just bonded with Norm, and they were getting along when they were out in the kitchen running around. And I knew I knew I said to her, I don't know how much longer Norm's going to be around because he's 10 years old. So now she's alone again. But I'm not replacing bunnies because it's hard. It's harder to take care of bunnies with the space, with the big pens. But we did have this one open guinea pig area in our little guinea pig apartment area here. When our guinea pig Mango died, I had not replaced her. So I went to take a look at this guy, wondering why he was still stuck at the shelter. And it turns out he's a nipper. He's a lucky little guy that they didn't actually put him down, because he's a biter. You pick him up and he starts biting you. He starts nipping and biting. And obviously people had picked him up and he gave them little nips, and they said, not this one, and adopted a different guinea pig. Now it's unusual for guinea pigs to bite and nip. Generally guinea pigs do not do that. So I don't know what the deal is with this little guy. But it's a good thing no one said much to the shelter and said, hey, this guinea pig bites. Because he might well have been put down there. They got so many animals coming and going that I don't think they deal with the ones that nip and bite. So, Oscar Stubbs, kind of the last one in maybe here. Am I sorry that we got you? No, we had a space for you. We had a space for you. He's got very pearlescent fur. It's actually, it shines like the inside of a seashell. It's hard to see it in this, but it's got a complete gloss to it that I've never seen in a white guinea pig. But he's Mr. Nips, aren't you? You're a nipper. You're a crazy boy. Yeah. What's your deal? He says you pick me up and I will nip you. He doesn't bite hard enough, not so far, to draw blood. But he starts out by giving you little nips, and then he takes a pinch of your skin. What do you think you're doing? And you have to watch him because he will leap off the couch. Oh, he will leap right off the couch. It's another thing the other guinea pigs don't do. They see the height. Hey, where you going? They see the height, and they're not going to try to leap even right here down to the floor. They're not going to do it. But this guy, yeah, you leave him on the couch for 1 minute. Here he goes. 1 minute, and he's down on the floor, and I don't want him hurting himself. Yeah, you just don't, all right? Don't. You can't do that. You can't be trusted. He's an odd little pig. Are you an odd little pig and you want to leap down? No. Not to be. Let's take him back and put him in his clean pen over there. Mr. Browner. I just cleaned everybody out, and now I got to get hay for everybody. This Violet is now our oldest pig. She used to be our youngest pig. And Oscar Stubbs is in the little red house here. What do you think, Oscar Stubbs? Are you cute? He says, am I just a runt of a pig, or am I younger than they think? Did the people lie? How can this little thing be 1.5 years old? Oscar Stubbs. He's got one ear that's bigger than the other ear, too. One ear is smaller than the other ear. Maybe he was just the runt of the litter and he's not going to get any bigger than this. Well, with this guinea pig setup, they can go for a week between cleanings. If we go on a trip, which we would like to travel a little bit before we die, this is pretty easy for someone to take care of.